We believe we're going live. We see the progress bar moving across the screen. It's possible that we're live now. It's setting it up. And now YouTube says we're live. All right, here we are. We're going to give people a couple minutes to come in. Hi, I'm Matt from National Parks Tonight, and this is...
I'm Tim Cooper. Hey, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of BlogChat. Must be Tuesday night.
It is.
Yeah. So we did it last week. We did it every night because we're having so much fun. And now we are going to do it once a week, like clockwork, on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So this is the good news. We have a fresh post, so fresh that it's still drying.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Tim just published this one. Tim, what is the topic?
The topic is the Lightroom catalog. It's cleaning up and organizing your Lightroom catalog.
That's a question we never get, is it?
Oh no.
Never.
No.
Never.
No.
Never.
No.
Nope. So little. We never write blog posts about it. We never teach it.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's so easy to understand. That's the reason why we don't get questions on it. Yes.
Dead simple.
God. Yeah, that is definitely by far the most asked question we get, for sure.
Well, all right. Well, this week I understand you're serving up 3 very useful tips, right?
I am serving up 3 very useful tips. That is correct. Yes. Cleaning and organizing. So both very important, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So cleaning the clutter, how to get your Lightroom catalog in tip-top shape. And so the cool thing is if you all miss something or it goes too quick during the blog chat here, you can go back to the blog and read it step by step as I've laid it out. And it should be really quite easy to follow, I believe.
Yep.
So,
and I want to add one thing. If you guys are watching this live and you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, maybe hit the little dinger and leave us a comment in the live chat. If you're watching this as a replay, leave us a comment down below. We thank you very much.
Yeah.
On to the blog.
I think I need to stop for just 1 second.
Pause.
And I need to get this off my chest.
Okay.
We just had an earthquake like 30 seconds ago. And the house was shaking and everything was moving. And I was like, what is that? That is kind of weird. So I'm a little like a martini here, a little shaken, but I think all is well. So I'm ready to go.
I'm reminded of the musical sequence in Moulin Rouge. The show must go on.
The show must go on.
I'm not going to break out into song.
If I start shaking, you guys are going to know what's happening. It's an aftershock.
Oh, sorry.
Cool. So let's get into it. And I feel much better now that I got that.
Okay. Everybody, keep kind thoughts for Tim and make sure that his safety remains safe. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Into Lightroom. So cleaning and organizing. What's the big deal? Why is it so hard to organize Lightroom?
Well, I think the main problem is that there's a real big disconnect between people's typical organizational processes and then Lightroom. And whenever I start teaching Lightroom, I always say, listen, there's, it's the old adage, there's 2 kinds of people, right? Some people like numbers, they understand numbers, and numbers are okay with them. That's not me. I'm not okay with numbers. They scare me. I break out into sweat. I don't know what day of the week it is, let alone the number or what, some people are like, oh, it was the 8th month, and the 8th month, I'm like, what is that? June or August? Or I don't know those. I don't know the numbers and the months. So numbers mean nothing to me. So I organize my catalog in a different way because my brain works by subject matter. So for example, if you said, hey, Tim, I need a picture of a hawk, I would know exactly where it is. Or, you might say, oh, I need a picture of Trillium. And I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, that's under locations and, North Carolina, blah, blah, blah. And boom, there it is. I know where it is. But I could not tell you that August equals 8, the 8th month. I wouldn't know that unless I counted on my fingers. So we have to understand how we think as people and how we organize our drawers, how we organize our life. And then we need to apply that to Lightroom. But the other disconnect is that I think people are a little nervous about moving their images around or deleting images because they've probably gotten off to a bad start in Lightroom, and they've had issues where they see question marks or exclamation points, and they start getting nervous that they're actually going to lose images. And and that very rarely can happen. I mean, you have to go out of your way to try to lose images or delete images from your computer. And so what I like to think of is that your images exist where they have always existed, inside of folders. And so I tell people, listen, if you're working in Microsoft Word and you open up a Word document, that Word document does not live in the program Microsoft Word. It lives in a folder that you've just gone to and clicked on it to open it. So when you're in Microsoft Word, you're working on that document. And it's much like that in Lightroom, where Lightroom doesn't house your images. Your images don't live inside of Lightroom. They live in a folder on your computer somewhere. And Lightroom just has access to it and is aware of its existence. So I say, you know, when you're importing images into Lightroom, you're not importing them into Lightroom itself. You're just making Lightroom aware of the presence of the images. So that being that, all we're doing in Lightroom is simply organizing the same way we'd typically organize our folders for any other thing, whether it's Word documents or photographs or emails or whatever it may be. So I think when people start feeling a little bit more familiar with Lightroom itself, then it becomes easier to organize. That was a long answer. Did that make sense, man?
But it was an honest answer.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
it totally made sense. Yeah.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah, it's getting why Lightroom exists and how to start thinking about it is an important thing. And I just want to rewind a little bit. The reason you know so much about this is because you've been teaching Photoshop and Lightroom for how long?
Oh, a very, very long time. Since Photoshop 5, I don't know, I guess that was around 99 or 2000 or something. So
back when it came on eight CDs, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's been a long time. Yeah. And even, you know, Lightroom is the new kid on the block, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no, but of course it isn't any longer, but yes.
Yeah. So we at National Parks at Night do address this separately from going on adventures or, you know, having excursions in the parks. We do have dedicated workshops just for post-processing. And we also have one-on-one tutoring sessions. So we're no stranger to these questions, and we answer them all of the time. And that's where this comes from. It's not just, you know, because we've had to solve our own problems, which we do.
Yeah.
But we have to help other people overcome theirs too. So
yeah, and you know, I just want to add, Matt, that I think it's so important. You know, I particularly have always worked in, as you have, you know, in Photoshop and Lightroom, and I think it really influences what we do out in the field. You know, and when you're scared of post processing or worried about your images being destroyed or deleted or something, I think that has an effect. You know, and I think becoming familiar with it is just part of the game now. Like you've got to know your controls on the back of your camera.
right.
Well, you kind of got to know Lightroom, you know, and Photoshop to a lesser degree. But yeah,
it's like you used to have to know how to process your film and handle your negatives, or you trusted a professional to do it.
right.
Now there's nobody that's going to do this for you.
That's right. That's so true.
You can't pay somebody to do this for you.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So let's go to tip number 1.
Okay. Sorry.
This no reason to apologize. This is a conversation. This is something that I rarely use. So I'm genuinely interested in seeing how you use it.
Okay. Well, you know, I didn't use them that much when they started either. And I think that's because we're talking about reject flags here, folks. And I think that's because when I used to filter for them, I had a hard time telling what Lightroom was filtering for. And I'm not going to get into that. So let's just forget that for a second. But when I did realize the advantage of using these things, I use them quite often now. And so again, what we're talking about is reject flags. And flagging images is just one way to add an attribute to the image. So an attribute is like a star or a color label or a flag. And none of them mean anything in specific. They could be whatever you want them to be. So if you go down a little further, you'll see that I've clicked on an image in Lightroom. And if I went up to the photo, set flag, and then set the flag to rejected, that would make that image then rejected. It doesn't delete it from your Lightroom catalog. It does not delete it from your folders. It just simply means it's flagged as something, and we're calling that something rejected. Now, that's going to take a lot of time. Go ahead, Matt.
It's kind of emotional, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We don't want to be mean, but we're just rejecting the lesser part of ourselves here. That's what we're doing, of course. So it's okay. So of course that is, that's a lot of labor going up on every single photograph, going up to the upper menu. We don't want to do that. So there's a shortcut for it. And you can see there, yeah, it says Shift X right there, which is not quite right. It should just say X. And I think that screenshot somehow, I messed that screenshot up. But if you simply tap the X key when you're on any image inside of Lightroom, it gets a reject flag, or a flag we consider to be rejected. And if you go down a little further, it talks about how you can do that. So it says the keyboard combination to, okay, well, I don't want to jump too far ahead here. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's
so
right.
If,
how about that?
Yes, thank you. So let me go back to number 2 here. So we open up Lightroom and we've got a folder that we've just downloaded a bunch of images in. Let's say it's at night after one of our workshops, and we got, 50 images in there. We're like, okay, most of these are, we did a lot of testing, as we run up doing all our test shots at 6400 ISO and so forth. Most of those need to go. But instead of deleting them one at a time, and anybody that knows how to delete an image in Lightroom knows you hit delete button, and then you get the dialog box that comes up and says, what does it say? It says, do you want to delete this from the, delete it from the disk or remove? And so it takes a lot of time to do that. Every single time. So by opening up that folder of images and then going in and just tapping X, what you're going to do is you're going to mark that as rejected, and then we'll come back and delete the whole lot as one time, at one time. So step number 2 here is going into the menu and choosing Photo Auto Advance. And what that does is anytime you mark a photograph with some sort of attribute, then what you're going to do is you mark with the attribute and it automatically moves to the next image automatically. And then you can say, oh, I like that one, so I'm not going to do anything. And then you tap your right arrow key and then it moves to the next one. You're like, oh, I want to reject it. So you tap the X key and then it automatically advances to the next one. And in this way, you're just zipping through your images, tapping X, right arrow, X, 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 right arrow, X. And by the time you come to the end, you've got a folder with maybe, 15 or 20 rejected photos. Make sense?
Yep, totally.
Yeah. So at that point, you can delete them all at once. And that's where we go down a little bit further. When you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see a little bit further. Yeah, that once you're finished working through the folder, it's time to delete the images. Exactly. So the keyboard combination, there you go, is just simply Command Delete on a Mac, or it's Control Backspace on a PC. And that will automatically delete those images. And of course, that delete button will give you the warning that you see just below where you are. The delete the three images there. So for me, that is super important, because I think a lot of us will get into these grooves where we're looking at our images and then we'll just sort of hit delete, and then we'll look at the next one and consider, and then go to the next one and maybe hit delete. And suddenly you just kind of get tired. But when you get into that groove of Xing out images and putting them to a reject, boy, it's easy. Just tap, 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 X, 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 next image, X, X, X. And it just really makes the process go a lot faster.
I got to say, I'm nervous. I have a bad habit, I guess. I don't delete photos. I'm a photo hoarder.
Okay. Yep.
Am I a bad person?
No, not at all. It's just you may need more hard drives than the average Joe. And
I'm a night photographer. I don't think so.
And not nearly as bad as a sports photographer or say a wildlife photographer who's shooting hundreds and hundreds of images at every shot. But eventually your catalog can get too big, and I don't know that there's an upper limit to how many images we can have in the catalog. But I know when I got around 50,000 images, I started to see a little slowdown in my
Got
Lightroom catalog and the way that it reacted. So I want to keep mine sort of slim, you
Mhm.
know. And once people become more familiar with the workings of Lightroom and the different catalogs, you can create multiple catalogs, and that will, of course, that will speed up the process of looking at images and building previews and such like that. Yeah.
Okay. So you've got a couple more tips here.
Mm-hmm.
You can do this in grid view too.
You could do it in grid view. So the way that this particular blog post was laid out, we were in a loop view, meaning that we were looking at the images big,
Mhm.
which is nice if you're trying to find a subtle difference between two images. You can go back and forth. But yes, if they're, if you have half your images that are completely underexposed, then you made 2 or 3 really good images. In the grid view, it's really easy to see all those underexposed ones, and you could just click on the first one and then shift click on the last one, and
Mhm.
then tap X, and it will reject them all at one time.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, a lot of times you may accidentally hit the X, and so what we could do there is just tap the U key, which means unflagged, and
Mhm.
then we'll unflag that image.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then P.
Yeah, P is something I use to, again, help separate my images. And what I mean by help separate is that all the images are on equal footing in your Lightroom catalog until they get a keyword. And now suddenly that image with a keyword can be separated from the rest of this mass that has no keywords.
Mm.
Okay. Well, then we could take 15 images with keywords, and 2 of them we could put a color label on. Well, now those 2 images, we can separate those out from the ones that have only been keyworded. And then those 2 images, we can put a 5-star on. And now when we're looking for a 5-star red label with a keyword, only that one image is going to come up. So the more attributes that we put into them, the more we'll be able to, separate the wheat from the chaff. And so I like to add in as many of those bits as I can to help me find my images. The flags are just yet another one. So the P I kind of consider a pick.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's really easy. P is pick, X reject, and that kind of makes some sense to most people.
Oh, it totally does. And the funny thing about people is logic is sometimes peculiar to the person that has it.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Yeah, it's true. And we all think so differently.
Yeah.
For example, I know portrait photographers that do not use star ratings on their images. So, if you open up an image and somebody sees that it has 4 stars, they're like, oh, well, can I see the 3 stars? Or did we make any 5 stars? But if you use a color label instead to say which one is the best, there's no judgment attached to that particular attribute. So,
I never thought about the emotional aspect of the star
yeah,
rating system.
yeah.
That makes
So,
sense.
so that's why I think of the flags or the
Mm-hmm.
stars or the colors as whatever you want them to be, just what makes sense to your mind, to your brain. That's all that's important.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tip number 2, optimize your catalog.
Yeah, this is something that, I don't really know how many people do this, but I think it's pretty important because, databases, they can get corrupt, and we need to take care of them. And we need to keep them clean and organized and in good shape. And so what we can do is whenever we close out a Lightroom, we have the opportunity to, excuse me, to back up our catalog, but we also have the opportunity to kind of clean it up. And when I say clean, I don't mean organized, but just keep it healthy from
Mm-hmm.
a computer standpoint. So first of all, before we get into that, I just want people to know that when you're backing up your catalog, if you see that upon quitting, that doesn't mean you're backing up your photographs. And so, I always compare the whole Lightroom experience to a library, saying that in order for a library to operate, it's got to have a building, it's got to have books, and it's got to have a card catalog.
Mm-hmm.
Lightroom is the same way. It's got to have Lightroom, the program, it's got to have the photographs, and it has to have the card catalog, which we call our Lightroom catalog. Well, when you're backing up the Lightroom catalog, you're only backing up the Lightroom catalog. You're not actually backing up your photographs. So if that was to fail and you'd still lose your photographs. So backing up your photographs is a whole other part of taking that hard drive with all your photographs and physically backing that up to another hard drive. So when you quit out of Lightroom and you hit back up, you're only backing up the catalog, which is an important step. And you must do it from time to time. but it's not backing up one drive to another. Okay.
I know I've been surprised sometimes when I go into that folder where all the backups are, and I see that it's eating up many gigabytes on my laptop.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And there's really no reason to keep them around. So periodically I just go in and delete most of them, and I'll leave the last 2 up. So people say, well, how often should you back up your catalog? It's entirely up to you and your level of paranoia. But for me, I back it up like maybe once every week or maybe once every 2 weeks. Oftentimes I'll back it up before I leave on a trip, or back it up once I come back from a trip and I've made new images. But it's not something you have to do like every day, So that being said, once I'm done backing up, I might go check up my backup folder and then just delete any old ones that don't need to be in there.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, so here are the steps are for setting up your backup regime. And what I mean by that is Lightroom can back up every single time. It can back up once a month. It can back up, multiple times. And so the directions just above where we were a moment ago will show you how to go into your particular, and on Mac or PC, you choose either Lightroom Classic or Edit and go to Catalog Settings. And then you'll be able to see the screenshot we have here. And that's where you can set it to once a month, once a week, every time Lightroom exits, which is what I do, only because I like to be reminded every time. And then I can say, it has been a couple of days or a couple of weeks. I better do that. So, yep. So that's the one that I choose.
Got it. Me too.
Now, once that's done and you quit Lightroom for the day, then you will get that warning dialog box that you see here. It says, hey, do you want to back up your catalog? And when you do back up your catalog, you want to make sure that the integrity and optimize boxes are checked. Optimize is going to, I'm not a computer person, so I don't know all the technical ones and zeros and all the stuff that goes along with it, but it's just kind of reorganizing and making sure that the catalog is healthy. Okay. And that's what the integrity does. And I think the optimize cleans up all the extras and just kind of make sure that it stays lean and mean.
Yep. In other words, probably compresses the catalog a little bit too if it's getting a little bloated.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, I really don't know exactly what's happening under the hood there, but
gotcha.
So those are 2 important steps that you should do whenever you back up to keep your catalog healthy.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. So you have a couple more further tips here.
Yeah. The cool thing is that once you check those boxes, they're sticky. So the next time that you quit and you want to back up, those boxes will already be checked. So it becomes mindless at that point. You just keep going, And then, the next tip is kind of what you and I were just talking about. It's like, hey, you don't need a bunch of these backups in there. Right. So, I have like 2, but here in this screenshot, what you're seeing is if you go again to Lightroom Classic catalog settings, or you go to edit catalog settings on a PC, you'll get to this box, and right where that red circle is, it says show. And when you click on show, what it'll do is it'll take you back out of Lightroom onto your computer itself and show you where that folder is that your backups are being held. Right. And I think I may have, it doesn't look like I did any more screenshots for that. But once you're there, just click on the backup folder, and then you'll see inside of the backup folder, you may have 10 or 15 or maybe even 20 or 30 of these backup folders. And you could just delete all the oldest ones, and they are labeled by date. Right. So you can tell the most recent ones. Yeah.
I'm just going to jump in here for a second and
please do.
I don't want to admit to it, but I've done IT on computers for a long, long time. And I just want to remind people that there's a danger zone with free space left on your hard drive. You don't want to dip down below 25% open space on your drive too often. And if you're at 10%, you're really in the danger zone, because a lot of programs write temporary files while they're operating, such as Photoshop. Unless you set the scratch disk to your external drive, they create temporary files that they write and then they delete, or sometimes forget to delete. So you have to leave extra space there, or if your operating system needs to be updated by Apple or Windows, it needs space to download it and then unpack it and then run the program. You just leave at least 25% free on your drive at all times. Just a pro tip there.
Yeah, no, that's a real good tip.
It's a good reason to have your catalog on an external drive too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yep. All right. We have one more tip in this wonderful list here.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. A lot of people, I shouldn't say it that way. Many people may not be aware of the power of smart collections. I guess that's the way I should frame it. Do you use them, Matt?
I don't. Teach me, Sensei.
Oh boy. All right. You don't know what you've been missing, man. All right. So many people may be familiar with the idea of a collection. And as we've mentioned before, all of your images in Lightroom live in folders on your hard drive. Okay, but when we're looking in Lightroom, I can, click on one folder and look at the contents of that folder. I could click on two folders and look at the contents of two folders, or three, and they'll all be in one big area. But it doesn't mean that all the images that we're looking at are in one of those, are in a certain folder. They live in multiple folders. So what Lightroom allows us to do is look at images or view images that may be across our entire hard drive, but we can see them all together at the same time. So for example, if I went into my folder, Alabama, I could click on one image and drag it into a collection. Then I could click on another image or click on another folder and say California. Yep,
Can I ask you to show us?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. How about we do that? All right, so I'm going to hit share screen. And I think you should be now seeing my screen.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when I go over here into my locations folder and down to USA, I could click on Alabama and there would be a bunch of images from Alabama. Or I could click on California and there would be a bunch of images from California. Well, if I wanted to create just a regular collection, I could come over here and click this plus under where it says collections and create a collection and call it, I don't know, BlogChat, and I won't include selected photos here. I'm just going to hit create. Now that's what I call a dumb folder or dumb collection, meaning it's not thinking, it's just a place where we can drop things.
Mm-hmm.
So I can drag this one image here and drop it down into that collection called BlogChat. And then I could return to, let's say, Alabama and grab an image from Alabama. And once again, scroll over and down and drop that onto the BlogChat folder. Whoops, I just opened up some other folders. Whoa, now you're seeing the man behind the curtain.
Yeah. Quick, close the curtains.
I know. Okay, and then I don't know. Let's see what else. We go to Nevada, pick an image from there. Okay, there's a Nevada image and go drop that in the BlogChat. All right, now, whenever I'm on a folder, like here I'm in Nevada, you're seeing all the photographs that I've ever made in Nevada because I put them in that folder. Same thing, Colorado. That's all my Colorado images. All right, but if I click down here on BlogChat, I am now clicking on a collection and I'm viewing 3 different images that live in 3 different folders. Mm-hmm. So that's what a collection is. And we can gather up images from many different areas on our hard drive and look at them all at once. Okay. That's what a collection is. They come in very handy. I don't mean to call them dumb. They're actually very useful, but
well,
smart.
They're smart as the user, perhaps.
Oh, mine are dumb then. Okay. we got the dumb collections here, but smart collections are thinking collections. And what they do is they constantly monitor your catalog for changes in attributes. So I think during the when I wrote the blog post, I just gave an example of saying, maybe I just want to see all my images that come from a Z6, or maybe I want to see every image I made from my new Z6 with a 14mm lens. Or maybe I want to see all of my images made from a Z6 with a 14mm lens that were shot at 6400. And you can do that. Now, every time, once I create that collection, smart collection, if I go out next week and shoot a 6400 ISO image at 14mm with my Nikon Z6, it'll automatically get sucked into that smart collection automatically. And so that's what makes a smart collection smart. And so let me just scroll through here to see these examples that I put in here. I think the first one I made was, let's see, what did we do? Oh, this is long. This is a very well written blog post, Matt, by the way.
Thank you. I had nothing to do with it.
So let's just make a simple basic example here. Let's say you can see that these images are purple, and purple just happens to be a color I use for images that are going to go up to Instagram or have been on Instagram. So what I can do is I can go over to collections here, click on the plus and choose Smart Collection. Okay. And at that point, Lightroom allows me to name the collection. I'll say purple, if I can spell. And I get to choose the criteria here. And by default, it says rating. But when I click on that, I've got 1,000 million different things that I can look for and have Lightroom search for. So what I'm going to do is say color label. So I'm looking for label color. Here we go. That's not it. Here we go. Label color. I choose that is purple. Now it's going to go through my whole entire catalog as soon as I hit create, and it's going to gather up all the images that have purple. So I've named it, I've chosen the criteria, and I hit create, and bada bing, here we go. Here is the purple smart collection. You can tell it's a smart collection because it's got a little cog, a little gear wheel there, and it says it's collected 402 images, and here they all are. And these are all ones that are up in our Instagram feed.
I'm going to go check Instagram to make sure.
So you can create the most awesome and simple, but really useful smart collections. And as a matter of fact, Lightroom comes shipped with a folder called Smart Collections. And let me just call attention to this here for a second. So where you see my mouse right now, it says Smart Collections. That kind of looks like a folder. Mm-hmm. Whereas this down here doesn't look like that. It looks like something else. So that folder is actually called a collection set. And the collection sets just hold collections. Okay.
A folder.
Yeah, it's like a folder.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go to Smart Collections, and again, everybody out there, you could go into your own Lightroom catalog and see this for yourself. You click on that down arrow and it reveals the contents of that particular collection set. But this is the really cool thing, you guys. Check this out. If you just simply double click on any one of these cogs, it will bring up that box and let you know how that smart collection was created. So this one says label color is red. Okay, I'll cancel that one. Let's look at flagged. Double click, open it up. It says pick flag is flagged. Or I could say, hey, find all my rejected flags, by the way. Okay. Or you can dive in a little bit deeper, like check this one out, recently modified. What the heck does that mean? Or how did they build that? You double click and it says the edit date is in the last 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the trick for building these, you guys, is simply to look into here at all the options that you can possibly have. Right. So, I mean, a super simple one would be creating a 5-star collection. And so you can click in here, create a smart collection, and then go up here and say rating is 5 stars. Or you could say rating is greater than or is equal to and greater than, say 4 stars. Now that collection will have 4 and 5 stars.
So okay. Cool.
All right. But let's get back to the power of this, and we'll just do this one last one. I'll cancel that and say, let's create a new one, create smart collection. Let's say I want to find all of the images that were made on my Z6. What I could do is I would first have to make sure that I'm in a folder that's got Z6. So I'm just going to go to primary Lightroom photos, which is all 36,000 photos here, and go to collections. And create smart collection and say, camera info, camera is, and I could type in Nikon Z6. Okay. And then if I want to add more criteria, I can hit, let's see. I'm going to go to, what do we have here? Sorry, I'm getting some kind of weird thing. It must have something to do with the earthquake. I don't know. Camera, I'm going to go to, once again, go to camera info, and I'm going to go to focal length and say is 14 millimeter. And then I can hit plus again and add more criteria. And what else did we say we wanted? Oh, ISO 6400.
Yes.
So I will choose camera info, ISO speed rating is 6400. Now I hope this works because you do have to be pretty specific about how that camera is named. So if I'm off on a space or something, that may not work, but let's create it and see what happens. We'll call this the Z6 14 millimeter. Z6 14 millimeter. And there it is.
Look at that.
So these are all 14 millimeter shots at ISO 6400 on my Z6.
How powerful is that, folks?
It's right.
Wow.
Super powerful.
Wow.
So really the only thing that stops you is your own imagination of what kind of collections you can put together.
I'm going to go make some smart collections right after we hang up here. I have ideas already. Yep.
So I don't know how we're doing on time, but I could, if we have a few more, how are we doing on time? Okay.
We have all night.
Okay. So let me just give you an idea of how I put, these together. And I think I lay this out in my video as well.
Mm-hmm.
But in order, for somebody like us that has many images that may be in various stages of production, like maybe we have images we want to work on, and then images that, yeah, we worked on, but we haven't quite finished. And then, oh, this is a finished image, but it's not gone up to Instagram. Okay, now it's gone to Instagram, so it's finished, but it's not gone into a gallery or something like that. So to keep track of all these images, what I did was I figured out roughly the categories that I like to shoot. And so I said, well, I do night photography, I do architectural photography, I shoot landscape, and then I broke things up into like earth, air, canyon, city, things like that. And so those are what I'm calling a job. And in the job down over here, like if I click on any of these images, let's see, we'll click on that one. And when I go down to what's called the job here, it's under job identifier, I put night. Okay. Makes sense, Matt?
It does.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So now once I have that, what I'm going to do is give it a label or give it a rating, like 3 stars or 1 star or 2 star. And now I can start winnowing these out. And what I mean by that is if an image isn't going to be worked on anytime soon, it's got no stars. If the image is, I want to work on it, it gets 1 star. If it's in process of being worked on, but not finished, 2 stars. Once it's finished, it's 3 stars. And 4 stars means it's gone on to either like Instagram or a gallery or used in a lecture or whatever you come up with. But between the job identifier here as night and the star rating, I can create multiple smart collections to find out where an image is and how, what stage of work it's on, and so on and so forth. So if we go over here to where I have starred images, you'll see that I've got 5-star collection set, 4-star collection set, 3-star collection set. Let's go down to the 3-star collection set. And these are the rough categories that I use: architecture, black and white, canyon, cityscapes, earth, flowers, macro, night. Okay. Now, if I click on this little icon to show me what's in this particular collection, it is rating equals 3 stars, job or job identifier equals night. So now what I can do is just click on that, and there's all my 3-star images from night that are finished. All right. And if they want to go up to Instagram or something, they would be up in this 4-star images, which is again pretty similar. So we go to 4-star night, and these are the ones that are 4-star with job identifier as night. So the first thing I started with here was I started a collection set called 1-star photographs. I made a collection for 1-star architecture, meaning the job is architecture and the rating is 1, and I hit save. And then I made one for black and white and canyons and cityscapes. Well, then you can actually, if I remember correctly, you can duplicate that collection set. So that
and change one criteria.
That's right. So that gave me the 2-star collection set. And all I had to do was rename it to 2 stars and then go in each one of these and change the criteria to 2 rather than 1. And then I duplicated that for 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, so on up. And so now as soon as I pick an image, 1-star night, it goes into the 1-star. So as soon as I start working on it, I give it 2 and it automatically bumps up into the next collection set. And so it's automatically placing images where I want them to be.
Genius. What a beautiful system, Tim.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah. So that's it. That's what I got.
So we have one question from the field that just came in.
Sure.
Pam asked us, how do you change the target collection?
B is the shortcut for target collection. And what a target collection is a collection that you designate as the target. So when I'm going through images up in here, and Pam, I'll get back to your question in just a second. I just want to help everybody else out. If I'm making a collection for something and I say, oh, I want that one in the collection, I'll just tap my B and then I'll go, oh, and I want that one in B, and then that one in B. And it'll automatically move all of those into a target collection.
The letter B is in boy.
That is correct on the keyboard. Yeah. So the way that you change your target collection is you're going to go to a collection like BlogChat and right click on it and say set as target collection. And now you see there's a little plus right next to it. So if I click on this one here and tap my B key, and then this other one from Sloss Furnaces, and I tap on that and tap my B key, now when I go back to the BlogChat collection, there they are. They've just been added in.
Awesome.
Okay.
We got another question.
Excellent.
What if in the pre-Lightroom organizational days, someone hypothetically put the same photo in a couple of different folders? What happens when you put that into Lightroom? I'm asking for a friend.
The identical folder that are images, I think when you initially import them into Lightroom, they will come in as separate images, I think, when you do the initial import. But now if you're going to go back and try to re-import that image again, then it will not go because it's recognized it's already in the catalog. Is that the question, Matt, that your friend had?
I'm thinking, I think it's more like I have the same exact file duplicated in different folders. Is Lightroom going to see those as duplicates?
Again,
is it going to, like, when I'm importing, is it going to flag that there's duplicates, or what if?
Yes, if you have images that exist in a folder and Lightroom is aware of their existence, then you try to import that image again, it will not allow you to import that because it'll be a duplicate. Now you can override that. There's a little checkbox in the upper right of your import dialog box that you can allow it to come in.
Okay.
But as soon as you check that box that says do not include duplicates, then it will not bring it in.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I think my hypothetical friend is satisfied with that answer. It looks like we have another question coming in. I'm just waiting for the ellipsis to end. Okay. But if any metadata is different, Lightroom thinks it's a different picture, right?
Oh, interesting. That very well may be the case. I have not actually experimented with that, so I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, I have a great answer to this, and I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to just say, at the end of the blog post, there's some other stuff in the wrap up here, but there's two things that we should point out. We offer one-on-one tutoring for questions that go this deep. It might be that you would benefit better from a private consultation. And on our website, you can find that under education and tutoring. And here there's just a form where you can put in a request for tutoring, and you can choose one of us or none of us, and we won't be offended, you know, but there's a lot of opportunity here for you to spend time with us on an hourly basis. And the other is Tim has some bang-in courses, and linked from this blog post is his Lightroom training, which is an incredibly affordable price right now.
Yeah, I just dropped it for the big shut-in so that people would have something to do.
Yeah, this is if you're looking to really spend some time learning more to go deeper into this, I would highly recommend investing in this. And from this blog post here, you can find the link to it. So boop, it's in here someplace. So yeah, I just think that that's worth pointing out.
Thank you. Yeah,
we generously share information all the time. We spend a lot of time with our students at workshops. We do answer some email questions privately, but if you really want to go deep, hire us on an hourly basis and we will help you from afar.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what it takes to really dig in and figure out those multiple catalogs and where they are in different systems. And we can use a system such as Zoom, which we're talking on now, that will allow us to see your computer, and we can either guide you through it or we can actually take control and show you exactly what to do as well. So that's really pretty beneficial. Yeah.
I have a question from Pam. Pam wants to know if the course is updated for the current version of Lightroom.
It is not. However, the only thing that it's missing is just some additional tools that have been added over the last 2 years or something. So like it doesn't cover dehaze, but we've got a blog post on that. And so a few of the added things, everything else is in there, and it covers the library modules and develop modules very deeply. It doesn't touch on the other modules, but those are the two where you're going to spend 99% of your time. So yeah, it's not updated with the Lightroom Classic. It's still off of Lightroom, whatever it was. I can't remember the number, but yeah, it'll just be missing a few of the newest tools that have been added in.
Okay. And that's what is updated is when we're holding these, we generally hold these about twice a year. The post-processing intensive is a 5 or 6 day workshop where we go soup to nuts through Lightroom and Photoshop. On our website under workshops, you can go look for that. If it happens to be full, join the wait list, and perhaps there's other things coming soon. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't look like we have any more questions. Tim, you're very generous to come through an earthquake and sit here patiently.
I know. I'm just waiting for the other
Lightroom to us while the ground shakes under your very bottom.
Well, thankfully there hasn't been any aftershock, so I think we're okay. But we did get some weird warnings. I don't know if you could hear that coming through. But
I did, yeah.
I haven't even looked at that yet, but hopefully everything's okay.
Maybe it says if it says get out now, I really apologize. I'm so sorry. But I also want to point out that when you said that you had the purple thing, I changed my accent color to purple. It might not look great on my skin, but for that, it's just subtle. Yeah.
You're the king of subtlety, my friend.
Subtle. Not really. Not really. Thank you. Do you have any parting thoughts you want to share?
No, I just want to thank everybody for joining in. This is a great time for us all to share information and be connected. And so I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy y'all joined us. So thanks a lot. And if you're watching this later on, thanks for checking it out.
Thank you. Gratitude from us at National Parks at Night. We really appreciate you. Have fun reading the live chat as it happens. And please, if you can, leave us comments down below the video. We really want to have your feedback and your questions. And please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button and the little dinger so you get notifications when we do this live. But again, from here on out, 8 o'clock Eastern, Tuesday nights is BlogChat.
And Matt, we also have the Instagram live coming up. Oh, am I not supposed to say that?
We do. I think we announced it on social, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Just checking. All right.
Yep.
Thanks
Find
again
us.
for everybody.
Yeah, no, it's good. On Instagram, come join us there because all the platforms are different and fun for different reasons. We have other announcements. You can find our announcements on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So, yeah, take a look out for other interesting things we're going to be doing together and collaboratively and live. So,
All right. Take care, y'all.
Have a great night. I'm going to lead us out with an image, and it's just going to be one of these beautiful images that Tim made. I love this picture so much.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. That was fun. Oh, so beautiful. Okay. That was our moment of Zen. I know that might.
That's already been used.
Oops, don't sue me. Okay. Bye, everybody.
You see,
Take care.